All right, welcome to this deep dive explainer. Today, our core mission is actually to unpack a really fascinating observation record from digital strategist Tommy Yoshida, also known as Yoshida Tsutomu. Now, I want to set a crucial premise right out of the gate. This explainer isn't about judging AI, and it's definitely not a tutorial on how to write better prompts. We aren't here to wrap things up with a neat little bow or draw absolute conclusions. Instead, we're going to lean into the unfinished thoughts, the lingering questions from his main text, and really just embrace the unresolved contemplations of this wild, transitional era we're all living through right now. So let's jump right in and explore that blurry, fascinating boundary where technology and humanity actually meet.
So, here's our starting point, and honestly, it's an everyday mystery. Why can we instantly recognize AI-generated text? I mean, I'm sure you've experienced this literally today while scrolling your feed or reading an email, right? You glance at a paragraph and you just know. It's got this unmistakable AI smell to it. People everywhere are constantly saying things like, you can tell in an instant a bot wrote this, or why does everything read exactly the same lately? But what exactly is triggering that radar in our brains? Let's try and figure out what that smell is actually made of.
Section 1. The illusion of style, identifying the AI smell. To really pin down this smell, we can actually look at something called the Japanese Tech Writing Framework. It was published by a technical book publisher called Lambda Note. And what's super interesting here is that this isn't a writing class for humans. Nope. It's a set of rules explicitly designed to stop large language models from writing, well, terribly. And by looking at what this framework forbids, we get this perfect mirror reflecting exactly why machine text feels so hollow to us. Take the first pattern it flags. The important thing is. Language models love this phrase. They rely on it heavily to sound super authoritative. It signals to you, the reader, that a massive insight is about to drop, mimicking the rhythm of human expertise, but usually, it's just a structural crutch to pad out the word count.
And then we have this absolute classic, in summary. We see this all the time tacked on to the very end of generated text. Notice how often this phrase pops up, but when you actually read the paragraph that follows, it doesn't summarize anything new or insightful for you. It literally just regurgitates the exact same data points in a slightly different order. It's checking off a structural box without adding any actual cognitive value to the piece.
Or, oh, how about fundamentally? Now, look, none of these phrases are inherently wrong. You and I use them in conversation all the time. But the framework calls them out because when an AI uses them, it entirely exposes a mechanical approach to language. It's like the machine is just putting up scaffolding. It's trying to build the shape of a thoughtful argument without actually possessing the thought itself.
So here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. These patterns increase the volume of text without increasing the amount of information. And honestly, this hits the nail on the head as to why our AI radar goes off. As human readers, we've naturally become remarkably adept at detecting this exact gap. We instinctively feel it when we're digesting a ton of words but gaining absolutely zero new insight. That gap, that strange emptiness, that is the AI smell.
Section 2. The economics of insight. Words versus understanding.
To really grasp this concept, Yoshida reflects on his past career traveling between branch offices as a trainer. He was out there, standing in front of actual people, trying to explain incredibly complex concepts, and he shares this hard-earned lesson from those days. He says, "A training session that people cannot understand has little value, regardless of how much effort the instructor invested." And you know, this human lesson connects directly to the writing we consume every single day. Fancy terminology, flawlessly structured grammar, and just sheer length, they don't automatically equate to expertise. If the reader can't absorb the meaning, the words are practically useless.
Which perfectly segues into the shifting economics of content creation. Generative AI has literally flipped the game on its head. Think about it. Producing text, it's no longer difficult. It's essentially free, and it happens in the blink of an eye. We've shifted from a world of information scarcity to an overwhelming information surplus. But producing meaningful understanding? That remains just as incredibly difficult as it has always been. Text is cheap now, but true comprehension, that is still a massive premium.
Section 3. The missing element. The lived experience.
Okay, so if you can fix the grammar and ban all those cliché phrases we talked about, what is the machine actually still lacking? Well, look at this incredibly powerful contrast. On one side of the coin, an AI can explain concepts beautifully. It can summarize dense research in a matter of seconds and generate highly convincing arguments. But on the human side, the lived experience involves making actual, costly mistakes. It involves standing in a crowded room, watching an audience completely fail to understand you, sweating through your shirt, and having to pivot on the spot. It involves learning from messy, painful, outright failed projects. And LLM's pattern matching simply can't replicate the vulnerable, chaotic reality of actually living through something.
And it's because of that messy lived experience that humans bring three absolutely vital things to the table: context, judgment, and perspective. Think about it. When a human writes about a topic they've actually lived through, the tone changes entirely. You can literally feel the weight of their real-world successes and their failures behind the words. These deeply human elements, they just can't be generated from analyzing massive data patterns. They have to be earned.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where we're heading. As AI inevitably improves, and let's be real, it absolutely will, distinguishing between human and machine text on a purely mechanical level is going to get harder and harder. So perhaps the future competitive advantage isn't about writing better prompts. Perhaps it's about developing deeper experiences. The most valuable content of tomorrow won't just be what simply sounds human, it's going to be the unique observations and hard-won lessons that literally only a human could contribute.
Section 4. The Open Boundary, where tech meets humanity.
We're moving toward an unresolved contemplation here, standing right on this abstract boundary between generated patterns and human experience. What started out as this super practical search to fix AI-sounding writing has unexpectedly evolved into a profound philosophical question about what actually constitutes our humanity. It turns out it's not really about the words we use at all. It's about the life behind them.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with two of Yoshida's open-ended questions, drawn right from the core of his text, that are really meant to linger in your mind. First up, where do you feel the difference? When you are reading an article, a social post, or even a quick message, where exactly is that subtle line for you between data processing and actual genuine human thought?
And finally, what makes content feel genuinely human to you? Like we established at the beginning, we're intentionally leaving this thought unfinished today. As we continue to navigate this incredibly weird transitional era, I want to invite you to deeply ponder this boundary in your own daily life. Think about it every time you read and every time you write. Thank you so much for joining this explainer.